In this video, I wanted to go over the accessories I like to use when playing Yu-Gi-Oh! I was watching this video by Nim Gage, as many of you may know, and he brought up the interesting point that accessories aren't just, the protection and having the best play experience. It is also showing something about yourself. From your choice of playmat to your choice of deck box and choice of sleeves and choice of many other things, you are able to customize a little bit how you are perceived by other players. It is almost like a little part of your personality. And so I really liked watching his videos, seeing how he makes certain choices, and I would love to know in the comments down below which accessories you choose and why. So we're starting off with the playmat. I think it is no secret that I am constantly playing on these zero damage gaming playmats. So as you can see right here, you have the zero damage gaming logo in the corner. Now of course there's all kinds. You have like the 2-player cloth type, way bigger, and then you can fold them double, and then you can play on, well, which side you like, because some of them have like different sides, or you can fold them out and then both players have like a side to play on. A lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players I noticed are huge fans of cloth mats. Personally, I've tried it a little bit. I try to fit in, it's usually the Yu-Gi-Oh pros that are playing on these, and honestly, I just can't really get into it. Like, I know the feeling is amazing. This cloth feeling, it's like, wow, this is soft. It's like velvety soft, like amazing. And then when you have your cards and you can like fan them out over it, that feels awesome. But just the fact that you put this on like a table and it like slips a little bit, because it is so soft, right? It doesn't have that rubber bottom that keeps everything exactly in place constantly. I don't know, it's just not the vibe that I'm looking for. But I do get it. It does feel very luxurious. These cloth mats are also a bit thinner. Maybe that's something you're into, because it means you can very easily fold them up. You can just take any bag, fold these up, put them in, boom, you go to your locals and that's it. Whereas like these bigger ones, you have to roll them up. Some people put them in tubes and so forth. So I get it. It's a different vibe, but when I get to choose, usually it's going to be on the rubber one. So again, you have this rubber bottom. I'm also a big fan of stitched borders. Now, this is something I noticed wasn't that big in Yu-Gi-Oh before. This is mostly something I saw a lot of Vanguard and Y Schwartz and so forth. And Force of Will also, like just everything had stitched borders. In Yu-Gi-Oh, most people were playing without stitched borders. Personally, I just like these. Now, I do know that people don't like when their card, when they try to like glide it off the table, it could maybe be caught in the borders. That's what I heard people say, but personally, I don't have that issue. So I just always like playing like a rubber bottom playmat with the stitched borders. And interestingly, some zero damage mats now also come with that cloth velvet top right here. So like right here, you have these cloth mats that are like very velvety and like soft. This one in particular for zero damage actually has that same cloth vibe while still having the rubber bottom. So to me, it's like the best of both worlds. This is going to be called the deluxe collection. So all the mats in the deluxe collection are going to have like that velvety top. Also, the thing is, I love zones. In Yu-Gi-Oh, zone placement is very important. Did you play into an imperm column? Did your opponent maybe play something into an anima column and so forth? So I'm a big fan of having zones so that there can't be any disputes. Now, there are a lot of awesome other playmat manufacturers out there. If you found the one you love, that's awesome. Again, would love to know in the comments down below. But these are my babies. Absolutely love it. Now, the next type of accessory is field centers. Now, I personally am not that into field centers. I do own a couple. These are some of the cooler ones I have. This is the one you get when you participated in nationals. This is one you got if you played in the 250th YCS. So this one is actually pretty cool. Big fan of another verse dragon. I would love to have the Glutonia YCS mat, actually. That thing is even cooler to me. But so this field center is pretty cool. A lot of people also like using field centers that are from other card games, but that is not allowed in certain levels of play. But so the point of these is you put them right around here, so that way if someone doesn't have zones, you can at least kind of know, okay, they play in this column, they put it in this column, and so forth. So that is why field centers are used, but personally, I'm not that big on them. But they're, again, a cool little way to customize. Maybe you're a field center kind of guy or gal, maybe you're not a field center kind of guy or gal. But I like at least that it exists. It's another little cute thing to customize. These are two cool ones I have, but I don't really use them that much. Next, we have dice. Now, for dice, I'm pretty basic. I use whatever I have access to. Now, I previously, actually, when I went to YCS Pasadena last year, I didn't have any dice. I was like using Cardfight Vanguard dice. So I went to a vendor and they had these. I think they were part of like Battles of Legends, Legendary Duelists type of sets. I don't really remember. And these were like, I think $1 per dice or $2 per dice or something. So I was like, fuck it, I'll get these. They're cool. Very basic. I don't try to do anything too special with them. But there are some people who do love using like these gorgeous custom dies. So that is definitely an option you can also look into if you want to really take your like accessories to the next level. But that's not something I tend to do. Just these basic ones will do just fine. Now next you have life points. And this was a time limited thing on 0 damage. It's no longer for sale. But I just use this little notepad basically. Hee haha, funny meme, right? Don't mind me writing like an absolute toddler. But so I just write it down. It's way more useful to have it written down so that when there is a dispute, you can just go, nah, look, it was written down here. This access code attacked into your YuGiOh, so it's this amount of life points and so forth. You can actually prove it at that point for if there's any kind of nonsense going on, let's say. Some people also like to use these calculators. I know some people love to use like TI-84s to go really crazy with it. Those are cool. I see a lot of pros, you know, show off with them and they have like the fanciest ones. It's not really for me, but again, it's all about, you know, your personal preference, customization and so forth. Only con with that is that you don't actually have great proof, I think. Like, I think a judge is just gonna see notepad, okay, these lives happened. Whereas if you go, oh, actually, you know, I went -20 there, you can see it in the memory. I don't know. I think like paper is a bit safer for that. But I will say, of course, the calculator is gonna be a bit faster. Now, you don't have to use something like this, of course. Any piece of paper will do. I know quite some local game stores tend to have little pieces of life points papers with their logos on them because that way you can spread the word about them and so forth. My only issue with those is that I forget them. So I might get a piece of paper like that from a local game store, like a little notepad with their logo on it, and it's like tiny. You can rip off the papers, and then I put it in my bag, and then it vanishes into thin air. Whereas if it's something bigger like this, I at least know I won't lose it. So this way I always have something for life. But again, personal preference. It's a bit bulkier. Maybe that's not for you. Maybe you have like the tiniest setup ever, and you just have a cloth mat folded double, and inside that you have your paper, and you're only taking up this much space in your bag. That is definitely an option. Next, let's talk about deck boxes. So right here I have a 0 damage gaming deck box. These are like these tower type deals, and this is what I love to use right now. So you can just open it up, it's magnetic, and you have a deck right here. You can just take this out. So there you have it. You can put that just right back in there, close it up. Then you can check for the top compartment and you can take that out, and right here you can put your dice. So normally these 2 dice are in here, and then if you are using a time counter, which some people use, you know, a little clock just to keep track of time in case you can't really see screens with time. And that goes in there, goes into the top, closed again, and boom, you have everything, you know, in one neat compartment. These 0 damage boxes have improved a lot over time. Like the very first ones were a little bit more cloth and fabric-y on the outside, whereas this feels a little more leathery on the outside right now. This is why the print is so much more crisp. I'm definitely more a fan of this look right now, but again, that took some time of improving and trial and error and so forth. So this is like the latest version. Really big fan of this look, and so this is what I'm currently playing with. But yeah, I absolutely love just always having my dice inside my deck box. I know there's also people out there who just love to have their deck box alone because maybe they're bringing like 10 decks to locals. You know, they're the kind of guy or gal who are just going to be there to have a good time. They're not necessarily entering a tournament. They're just going to go through a variety of decks, and if every single deck then also has like 1 or 2 dice, that's a lot of rattling in your backpack. You have a lot more weight with you. It's also taking up more space, and so maybe that's less ideal. But for me, because I'm usually only taking 1 or maybe 2 decks to an event, I don't really care about the space. I would much rather always have dice in the same box as my deck. That way I know, all right, this is the package I need and I'm able to play. Now then, the final question, of course, on everyone's mind is gonna be sleeves. So I'm gonna take out my deck right here. So I am a huge fan of double sleeving, but before we get to the over sleeves, let's just quickly take out the inner ones. So I'm a huge fan of Dragon Shield sleeves, and then specifically the white ones. And the reason is I like to have my entire collection in the exact same sleeves, and I know they will never discontinue white ones, because that way when I'm playtesting, I'm like, oh, I'm really liking Bell this format. You know, I just put the 3 bells into the deck, boom, and I start testing like that. And then I notice, damn, I was wrong. Bell sucks. I can take it out, take another staple, put it in, shuffle up, and just start playing again. I don't have to actively re-sleeve them out of the white sleeves Unless, of course, they get dirty, which might happen over time. But at least this way, again, just in terms of testing the entire collection, everything is in the same sleeves. I can just put them in and out of decks like super quickly, super efficiently. I can also share some of these staples across decks because I know I can just grab them, throw them in the other deck, play, then grab them again, throw them in the other deck, play, and it's just way more quick and more efficient. Now, when I'm going to go to an event and I really want my deck to be really pretty, I might then swap them into something fancier. So not necessarily the Dragon Shield white ones, because these are, you know, they're cool, but they're just white. I might just go for like a cooler image then, maybe for example, like these Nats sleeves. So these you can get by qualifying for the national championship, in America at least, and in Europe it would be qualifying for the European Championship. I also got a pack like this, but a different color for getting top 32 at my nationals. And so there's a variety of little ways you can get sleeves like that. These are cool, but in my opinion, they're not ideal when you're not double sleeving because these tend to break very quickly. You will notice, you sleeve up a deck, you start shuffling and instantly it's like and there go your sleeves. So I really urge you to, if you're gonna use these, or even like the fancy character sleeves, you know, if you have like a Dark Magician Girl sleeve or a Blue Eyes White Dragon sleeve or IP Masquerena, whichever one you like, it's probably best to double sleeve those, or maybe it's just good for your extra deck. Maybe those don't need the double sleeves, but at least, you know, protect your sleeves if they're fancier because they can absolutely split. So then the white ones that I tend to use are these Dragon Shield ones, Dragon Shield White Classic. I will try to put links to everything in the description, but so I hope they don't discontinue these because I have so many cards all in the same sleeves, because it's way easier for testing and for making videos and everything as well. Now then, like I said, I love to oversleeve, which means we have our sleeve right here. Again, we have a cool Diabell star. We put it back into the sleeve, and then in the other direction, I like to put it inside the oversleeve. And this way, you could theoretically make this card wet. Like your opponent could be a complete buffoon and knock over their can of water or Coke, and you won't like it. Some, you know, your mat might be damaged and your sleeves will no longer be playable, but at least the odds of your cards being soaked has gone down dramatically. Is it possible? Sure. You know, you don't want your cards to be swimming, but at least there's like no direct contact with the air that your card has right now. And so I just feel a little more comfortable that way. Furthermore, I also really like the shuffle feel of a double sleeved deck because the corners, I don't know why, but they don't split as easily. I think it's because your overall package gets thicker, but somehow they just don't tend to split as much as with single sleeves. I don't know what the reason is for that, but it is just something I noticed over my many years of playing card games. And again, if I'm going to be using any type of fancier sleeve, knowing that at least those are safe because my over sleeves are keeping them safe feels pretty nice. Now, what I use for oversleeving is also Dragon Shield, and it's actually these, the Japanese size matte clears. I've seen some people sometimes say in Discords like, oh, sometimes they're not the same size or anything like that. I personally have not had that issue happen yet, and I think I've gone through like 100, maybe 200 of these boxes. It would be very weird to me if I saw quality issues with these, but never say never. It's at least something I haven't had an issue with. But so my entire playable collection right now is in essentially these, like this as inner, this as outer, and it's just a great shuffle feel. I can take any staple and swap between decks. It's super easy and quick. And then again, if I want to be extra fancy for an event, I might replace these with these, put the cards in there instead. It'll look a little cooler, I do get that. So let's put the deck back into the deck box like so. And yeah, this is how I like to play card games. Again, it's super personal. Some people might go, oh, I hate rubber mats, I love to play my cloth mat. Oh, I hate big tower deck boxes, I love to use little small ones. Plastic deck boxes might be a little lighter as well. Again, great if you have to bring like 10 decks to locals. But this is how I love to do it. Let me know in the comments down below how you love to use your accessories. Super excited to read all of your thoughts. And again, if you love good vibes in Yu-Gi-Oh, be sure to subscribe. I will see you soon. Ciao.